同学们，大家好，现在我们上新概念第四册的第11课啊，我先把课文念一遍。Royal espionage. Alfred the Great acted as his own spy, visiting Danish camps disguised as a minstrel. In those days, wandering minstrels were welcome everywhere. They were not fighting men, and their harp was their passport. Alfred had learned many of their ballads in his youth, and could vary his program with acrobatic tricks and simple conjuring. While Alfred's little army slowly began to gather at Athelney, the king himself set out to penetrate the camp of Guthrum, the commander of the Danish invaders. To penetrate the camp of Guthrum, the commander of the Danish invaders. These had settled down for the winter at Chippenham. Thither Alfred went. He noticed at once that discipline was slack. The Danes had the self-confidence of conquerors, and their security precautions were casual. They lived well on the proceeds of raids on neighboring regions. There they collected the women as well as food and drink, and a life of ease had made them soft. Alfred stayed in the camp a week before he returned to Athelney. The force there assembled was trivial compared with the Danish horde, but Alfred had deduced that the Danes were no longer fit for prolonged battle, and that their commissariat had no organization, but depended on irregular raids. So, faced with the Danish advance, Alfred did not risk open battle, but harried the enemy. He was constantly on the move, drawing the Danes after him. His patrols halted the raiding parties. Hunger assailed the Danish army. Now Alfred began a long series of skirmishes, and within a month the Danes had surrendered. The episode could reasonably serve as a unique epic of royal espionage. 好，那么我们看这个文章的第一课啊，这个是一篇历史性的文章啊，讲历史的。Alfred the Great acted as his own spy, visited Danish camps disguised as a minstrel 啊。那么这个呢，这个简单句啊，这里面有一个现在分词短语啊，那么这个呢，就是说有两个分词短语啊。第一个现在分词短语 visiting Danish camps， 这个是一个现在分词短语，这是状语的啊。那么后面还有一个是过去分词短语，看到没有？这两个连在一起的啊，这个都可以连的啊。Disguised as a minstrel 啊，那么像这种啊，就是说，一般的来说起来，这种非限定句啊，现在分词啊和过去分词的非限定句啊。在那个英文的里面很灵活的，他们除了那个谓语动词谓语啊不能做谓语以外，它其他成分它都可以做，它都出现句子里面非常灵活啊。Disguised as， 因为那个英语的句子里面限定动词只能出现一个，对不对？但是像这种非限定的这种句子啊，能够有无数个放在一句句子里面啊，都没有关系。Disguised as a minstrel 啊，那么后面。In those days, wandering minstrels were welcome everywhere. 那么这也是一句简单句啊。They were not fighting men, and their harp was their passport. 那么这句句子呢，以两句句子把它并列起来，用一个 and。第一句是 They were not fighting men， 第二句是 Their harp was their passport。这两句呢用个 and 并列起来的啊。后面 Alfred had earned many of their ballads in his youth, and could vary his 好，这个是一句简单句啊。那么它呢有两个谓语和并列的，一个是 had learned many of ballads in his youth， 这个呢是一个谓语，对不对？然后第二个谓语是 could vary his program as and simple conjuring， 这个是第二个谓语。这两个谓语呢，它用了一个 and 呢把它连接起来的啊，并列的。好，那么。While Alfred's little army slowly began to gather at Anthony. The king himself set out to penetrate the camp of Gosling, the commander of the river. 好，那么这一句啊，这一句呢，首先呢，一个时间状语从句，这个 While Alfred's little army slowly began to gather at Anthony 啊，这个呢是一个句时间状语从句，对不对？然后呢，这个主句呢是 the king himself set out to penetrate the camp of Gosling, the commander of。那么这个呢是一句简单句，对不对？后面 the commander of the Danish invaders 啊，这个是什么？这个是 the Gosling 嘛 ，Gosling 的同位语啊。这个 Gosling 啊是一个指挥官啊 ，Danish invaders 是指挥官啊，叫 Gosling 啊。那么These had settled down for the winter at Chippenham 啊，一个地名啊 ，Chippenham，然后呢就是 thither Alfred went， 这个 thither 就是到那啊，there 就是这个是有点古语一样的 thither 啊 ，thither Alfred went 啊，那么这也是一个简单句啊。He noticed at once that the discipline was slack。好，那么这句句子里面呢有一个宾语从句啊 ，that discipline was slack， 这个是 notice 的宾语啊，宾语从句对不对？那么 the Danes had the self-confidence of conquerors and their security precautions were casual 啊。那么这个呢是两句并列的 ，the Danes had the self-confidence of conquerors。这个是一句，后面 the security precautions were casual， 这个两句呢用了一个 and 来并列起来的啊，那个，好，那么 they lived well on the proceeds of raids on neighboring regions 啊，那么这句是简单句啊，好，那么 they collected women as well as food and drink, and a life of ease had made them soft 啊。那么这个呢也是两句句子并列的，第一句是 they collected women as well as food and drink 啊，这是第一句啊，对不对？这是第一句句子，然后第二句句子呢是 a life of ease had made them soft 啊，这是第二句。那么这两句呢用一个 and 呢把它并列起来的啊。好，那么 Alfred stayed in the camp a week before he returned to Anthony 啊。那么这一句呢里面有一个时间状语从句 before 啊 ，before he returned to Anthony 啊，这个是时间状语从句啊。然后 the force there assembled was trivial compared with the Danish horde 啊。好，那么这一句啊，这一句里面呢有一个 they assembled 是过去分词短语啊。就是这个 force 的 ，the force was trivial compared with the Danish horde 啊。But Alfred had deduced that the Danes were no longer fit for prolonged battle, and that their commissariat had no organization, but depended on irregular。好，那么这一句啊。这句呢，它里面有个冒号，那么我们不管它，它是一句句子啊。那么这个 Alfred 呢，他呢怎么样 ？Alfred had deduced， 好，这个 that 啊，这个 that 一直到这个后面都是它的 deduce 啊。那 deduced that 这个是宾语从句，对不对？做这个宾语从句做 deduce 的宾语的啊 ，deduce 的宾语，这个宾语从句 deduce 什么？它 deduce 什么 ？That the Danes were no longer fit for prolonged battle。And 这个是第一个 that no longer for battle， 对不对？这个是一个 deduce， 一个宾语从句。然后呢，它跟它并列的呢 ，and 后面又是一个宾语从句，这个也是那个 deduce 的宾语从句啊。And that their commissariat had no organization but depended 啊，那个啊，那么就是说 and that their commissaries had no organization。那么这一句句子里面呢有两个谓语并列的，一个是 had no their commissariat 是主语，对不对？然后呢 had no organization， 对不对？然后呢，他们呢 had no organization but depended on irregular raids。这两个谓语并列的啊，这commissariat是主语啊，这两个都是宾语从句，就做第六式的宾语的，对不对？好 ，so faced with the danger advance, Everett did not receive open battle, but harried it。好，那么这个呢是一个简单句啊。这个简单句，那么首先这个 faced with the Danish advance 啊，这个是过去分词短语，做状语的啊。然后呢 ，Alfred did not risk open battle, but harried the enemy。这个呢是这个是什么？这个是两句谓语的并列 ，did not risk open battle， 这是一个谓语。然后呢是 harry the enemy， 他用了一个 but 呢把它并列起来了，对不对？然后呢 ，he was constantly on the move, drawing the Danes after him。这个是简单句啊，简单句啊。然后 his patrols halted the raiding parties。啊，然后呢就结果呢就是说啊，这个是那个 his patrol halted， 这是简单句，对不对？然后它这个冒号表示后面有一个结果出来了 ，hunger assail the Danish army 啊，这个也是一句简单句 ，hunger assail the Danish army 哈。Now， 这个时候呢 ，Alfred began a long series of skirmishes 啊，那么Alfred began， 这也是简单句。然后 and 后面连接的这个结果出来 ，with the months the Danes had surrendered 啊，那么这个也是一句简单句啊 ，with the months the Danes had surrendered。好，那么 the espionage could reasonably serve as a unique epic of royal espionage， 这个是简单句啊，对不对？好，那么好，今天这课就上到这，谢谢大家，再见。